This is the Harley Davidson Breakout for 2021. Check it out.
Glorious. No, I won't give in. I won't give
in. We are coming to you live from the Harley Heaven dealership in Adelaide once again, and it is a miserable, somewhat rainy day. It's only just stopped. We've got a bit of a dry line on the road, and I've got this magnificent beast in front of me to take out for a spin. This is the Breakout. Massive rear tyre, just like the Fat Boy of 240 millimeters. So it's obviously best to wait for a dry line on the road, as salesman Sam said, and I 100% agree with. These tyres are not tailored for wet conditions. It's more for a fine weather riding kind of a bike, and the big wide tyres do aquaplane quite a bit, so I feel like a sensible Sally waiting for that dry line. This one is not completely stock. It has a full exhaust system from Vance Hines, as you can see. It has an air intake, and it's had a bit of a tune to get everything working together nicely. So it will have all the herbs and spices, and the Milwaukee 8114, as you've seen in the previous Fat Boy video, is not lacking whatsoever for street ridden power. Go east side for something different this video. If you've watched my previous videos, we always go a different route because why not? You all would get bored just as much as I do. So as you can see, once again, super low seating position. It's accessible to everyone, these Harley models. Very light. I am coming from my big touring electric glide, so everything feels light. Unbelievable. The sound is incredible. I hope it's coming through my $20 microphone just as well as I can hear it in real life. It is fantastic. It's making all the right sounds. Everyone within a 1 mile radius can hear me just the way I like it.
And that's the way I like it.
The guy next to me is looking all over it. He loves it. Tripping over his tongue. Easy to lean either side of. Incredible brute force. So responsive. I think it's fitting having all this power under me with these tweaks and mods on a big Milwaukee 8. We might as well hit the old Formula 1 track. We'll circumnavigate a little bit of that. We are in the city of churches, as the other states call us. We've got a nice one to our right there where you can confess your sins, like that time I bought a Honda. So as you can see, it's got dirt bike style handlebars, almost perfectly flat, straight across. Digital speedo, very modern and futuristic with all those digital readouts. Harley quality everywhere, the switch gear, the turn signals, on and off, starting. All real nice to the touch. First impressions are good. This is a hot selling bike, at least where I come from. This is in the top 2, or at least top 3. I want to say number 1, because the dealership usually posts photos when people buy a bike, and over the last few years it's always breakout this, breakout that. It must have something going for it. It does look good, but there must be something else to it. It has that stretched out modern day chopper look, like a West Coast Customs or West Coast Chopper, something like that, right out the factory. So there's that appeal to it. Swap out your own personal taste in wheels and you've got a really custom looking bike. F1 cars used to go in the opposite direction to what I'm riding right now, and they would exit the centre chicane, which is to my right about here, and that's the start-finish line, just through there.
An engine problem, but certainly in the case of Patrese and Senna is really charging.
Sneak in behind this Porsche and we'll go around the next part of the circuit. These big old gum trees had a koala in it one year. It was a V8 Supercars event at turn 9. The koala up at the top sleeping while all the V8s are thundering around. I thought that was pretty amazing, considering we are in the city centre. and it's quite wet over here. 35 grand's worth. And there's a waiting list. Seating position, so I've gone over how the bars are a little bit different for this model. You actually lean forward. Not quite sport bike level, but for a Harley you definitely need lean forward. So you don't have a perfectly straight back like you would have on the Fat Boy and many of the other models. So it's slightly aggressive. You do feel like you're a bit of a boss riding this thing around. It does feel aggressive. It's amplified by the sound and the mods that this thing is currently putting out. So there's that playing on your mind too, but you do feel aggressive and you want to go. You really want to go on this thing. Because every micro-millimeter you twist that right hand, this thing kicks you in the back and off you go. It's such a fun experience though. I really thoroughly recommend if you've ever contemplated riding one of these things to get out there and do it. Because you're almost guaranteed to want it. Oh, it's a bit dangerous if you don't have the funds, of course. Look at that, we've got a shop window shot already. The Breakout.
That's hot.
So hot. Look at the rake on it. Awesome.
So hot.
Now this little, not a chicane, but this S-bend leads to Stag Corners, one of the famous and more popular sections of the old Formula 1 circuit.
It is Rosberg in third position. Mansell is down to fourth position.
Formula 1 cars used to rip through there.
You'll see the markets on the left as they take it. Then from there into the right-hander, the very demanding right-hander. That's it, Stag turn. Lots of people have gone off.
Nigel Mansell, Ed Senna, Alain Prost, Nelson Piquet, Michael Schumacher even. We had the best of the best. Racing arguably the best cars in Formula 1 history. V10s, 12s and 8s, turbos, was just a golden era. This could be your last chance to buy a Breakout, believe it or not. The model is being discontinued, so it's had a reasonably short lifespan. I'm a little bit miffed by it being such a hot seller, but maybe it's just a hot seller in my part of the world. And oh, we've got a cop just as I pull out, and we've got basically straight pipes, and I've got two cameras stuck to my helmet, which, believe it or not, might not be that big of a deal where you're from, but it's actually 3 illegal things at once where I'm from. So I'll just look to the left here like I don't know he's there, and maybe he'll go away. So many benefits of having loud pipes. People really do hear you coming, and it's a little bit of a safety aspect as well as a joyful experience for the rider. Of course, these exit to the side, to my right, so it actually feels louder than my bike, which also has a full system. But being a bagger, they exit behind the rear pannier, so I don't quite get as much of an earful as I do on this bike. Now we'll head down past the university and the old hospital, and we're going to hit some twisty bits because you might not believe me that these things can corner. Maybe you haven't seen the Fat Boy video. But we're going to hit some even tighter corners, some off camber to really put this fat rear 240 tyre and see if we can lean it both left and right in a recorded video, maybe with some water on the ground. It's all happening. And to the right here we have our Adelaide Zoo, where we have 2 pandas that refuse to breed. They've been there like 10 plus years, haven't had a single baby, and the government spent billions and billions. Alright, it's probably in the millions, or at least hundreds of thousands, and nobody goes and sees them. And if you pick one of these over the Fat Boy, I wouldn't hold anything against you. It's right there, and it's in its own right. It's a completely different feel, despite having the same engine, the same 6-speed gearbox, the same rear tyre even. This feels different. This has got a narrower front end. It's got that rake, of course. The bars are different. The seat's different. So the overall riding experience is much different. This 4-wheel drive is holding me to a snail's pace, but as you can maybe see, that was a super tight, low-speed corner. You know what? We'll flip it around, we'll do a U-turn, and we'll come back down it just to prove a point, because it is a Saturday and things happen. Cars get in the way, and we all know they're infinitely slower than motorbikes. On the footpath, like a postman does on his little Honda 110, and I'll go back down the driveway ever so elegantly without tipping it over, because you can. even with fat rear tyres, with all the grace of a ballerina. And we are back on track, ready to hit some twisties, going downhill this time. Change of camber. Let's see how the Big Bad Breakout does it. Super smooth, effortless cornering. Hit the left-hander. Look at that. So nice, so smooth, and easy. Once again, you don't need a whole heap of experience or bravado to get this thing around the corner. It's the actual rake, the seating position, the ride position. I really like it. I can see the appeal now, having ridden it. Before I thought maybe it was just a cosmetic thing, or I don't know. Just didn't 100% get why it was so popular, but now I get it. Would I prefer it over the Fat Boy? That's a $1 million question. I've got all sorts of doubts in my mind. Before I came out today on this ride, it was Fat Boy, then Daylight, then the rest of the model. For this Breakout, it is right there. And as for the seat, this seat is a dramatic improvement over the Fat Boy, which wasn't bad, but I did find it a little bit firm and a little bit hard. This one is much softer, and it feels like it's, I don't want to say grabbing the rear end, but it's got me snugly in place. Let's just leave it at that. And it does look the bee's knees. I'll get a shot of that when I park it so you all know what I'm talking about, but it's a real nice seat. So in a perfect world, you'd want this seat on your Fat Boy if you're leaning towards the Fat Boy. Take that, tram. Now we'll head through Victoria Square over the Chinese-made pavers, which are extremely slippery when wet. Ask me how I know. I used to ride here every morning, and if you are not careful, your bike will be snaky, and many people have hit the dust there. They are slippery when wet. There was a whole kerfluffle in the news about it. Here we are, back to the dealership. There's my sexy bike, looking all wonderful as only an electric glide can. And we'll just back it up a little bit and turn it off because the party's over. So easy, just like the Fat Boy, to get into parking position. The ever so popular 2021 Harley Davidson Breakout. Take it in. And here's that seat I was talking about before. It is super comfortable, and it looks great too, doesn't it? Look at that. Real nice seat. Headlight looks the business too. It's got the LEDs, modern technology. Front spoked wheel, not my thing, but it's not bad. It's just not my particular taste. Overall, it's a unique riding experience. It's an enjoyable riding experience. And with these mods on it, it's flat out fast for the street. Torque everywhere. It sounds $1 million too. I can't say enough about the sound. And there's the rear view that most people will see. And it looks damn good.